first 8 to 12 hours after your last meal, your body's still looking to your digestive tract, whatever's there. Once you've got beyond around 12 hours, there's not going to be anything there of real value to your system. The second 8 to 12 hours, what your body's looking for is sugar. Remember, sugar is the fuel that our bodies are intended to run on. Okay, we're set up to run on sugar as fuel to make electricity. Okay, be clear, we run on electricity, but we're using sugar to make that electricity. So the body is set up to look for sugar, and what it's going to do is it's going to go to the liver, where it finds glycogen. Glycogen is a glucose precursor. So the body converts glycogen to sugar, to glucose. We have, on average, an 8 to 12 hour supply of glycogen in the liver. We also store glycogen in the muscles. We don't use it. We don't use it because if you've broken your leg and you're lying on the floor of the jungle waiting to feel good enough to be able to go up and go find food, wouldn't it be useful if whenever that happened, you had some fuel to run your muscles? So you could go walk and find tree and then go climb the tree. You still have strength because you still have fuel there. That's what happens. Okay? So we retain muscle glycogen using only liver glycogen at this stage of the process. The next thing that happens, remember, your body is looking for sugar. It's looking for sources of glucose because we're set up as glucose running machines. Just like your car runs on gasoline or diesel or battery power, whatever it is that it runs on, that's what it runs on. Okay? If your car is set up to run on gasoline, its system is looking for gasoline. If you give it something else, it's not going to do anything with it. Our bodies are set up to run on glucose as the fuel that it uses to make sugar. So it's looking for glucose. There is no glucose available from fat, but there is sugar available by converting muscle into sugar. And so the body goes into a process called gluconeogenesis, which means new sugar production. Okay? And what it's doing is it's taking tiny amounts of muscle, and it's not getting the sugar out of the muscle because there is no sugar in the muscle. What it's doing is it's converting the muscle into sugar in a chemical conversion process. How long that lasts depends on your body composition. If we had a bodybuilder here that was 250 pounds of pure muscle, his body or her body would be in this part of the process longer than someone who's got very little muscle. Why? Because it has more muscle it can afford to give up. It's not concerned about losing muscle when it's carrying way more muscle than was ever natural for that organism in the first place. So the organism is probably going, this is a burden. Walking around with all that muscle, again, how often do you have to lift a car or a house, right? So the body is going, this is a burden. It's probably happy to get rid of some of that muscle. And so it's going to spend more time converting muscle to sugar than a body which has very little muscle to begin with. If you're starting out the process with very little muscle, you may be in this process for very little time. The average person, it's around day 3.5 that your body says, okay, you know what? Don't want to lose any more muscle. Now, understand that your body does not know that you've decided not to eat for 21 days or 26 days or whatever, 30 days. Your body doesn't know that. Here's what your body knows. It's been 48 hours and nothing's come in yet. What do we do now? I need to make some more fuel. I need to make some more electricity. Where do I get the fuel from? There's no food coming in. That's all your body knows. So your body's looking for the most efficient way to get sugar to make electricity because we are sugar burning machines. When it gets to the point that it says, okay, I don't want to lose any more muscle, now what we'll need to do is we'll change over from our normal process to running on ketones. But that doesn't happen until you're 3 to 3.5 days into the process, at which point you've consumed a bunch of muscle. So this is your first week. I hope you're not going to be too disappointed, but tomorrow you're going to see that you've lost 8 pounds of muscle, most of which is water, by the way. 75% of that, 70% of that's water. It's the water your muscle's holding. Most of it's not actual tissue, it's water. But That's what happens in the first week because your body is consuming primarily muscle. Okay? Starting around day 3 and 3.5, there's a transition process that happens. Around day 10 or 11, you get to the point that your body is using almost exclusively fat. Almost exclusively. Not exclusively, but almost. Why not exclusively fat? Why does it continue to use muscle? Well, it turns out that your brain needs sugar. And it's going to keep converting muscle to sugar throughout the process. Okay? This is not something you need to worry about. Okay? If you're resting completely, what's lost is minimal. Ironically, some people think, I'm going to stay physically active so I can keep my muscles strong so I don't lose so much muscle. What they're doing is increasing their body's caloric needs, which increases the amount of muscle converted to sugar. It doesn't help. You're not going to outthink nature. In nature, what does every species do when it's fasting? If it's fasting to heal, what does it do? Rests. Doesn't do anything. Okay, it rests completely. Now, I clarified fasting to heal. There are times when animals fast for other reasons. The bull fur seal. Okay, the fur seals are an animal, a species that has a mating season. And the way it works is all the females in an area, I don't know how they obviously communicate with each other somehow, all the females in an area wind up swimming to the same beach. And later, all the males go to the same place.
It's Facebook.
It's on Facebook, yeah. They have a Facebook group, okay? Mating season for this part of the Arctic, whatever. The entire time, I think it's 2.5 weeks or something like that, the males are busy the entire time. They're fighting for the rights to reproduce and then doing their best to reproduce. And that's all they do. They spend all their time doing that. Okay? They don't eat. They don't rest. At the end of the mating season, the females all swim off, happily impregnated. Right? They go off to wherever they're going, and they leave the males there. What do you think the males do? They haven't eaten anything in 2.5 weeks. What do you think they do? First thing they do when the women are gone?
Fast.
They've been fasting.
Feast.
Yeah, you'd probably think that. That's not what they do. More important than eating at that stage, they're emaciated. They're completely emaciated. Not just have they burned through all their fat, they've lost most of their muscle because they've been physically active. So they're a shadow of what they were weeks earlier. First thing they do is they rest. They have a long sleep because that's more important than food. Okay? They have a long rest. Okay? So there are examples of animals who are not fasting to heal the body. They're fasting because they're too busy doing other stuff. And in that case, it's a little different. But when animals are fasting to heal the body from whatever they need to heal from, they are not doing anything. They're not moving. They're being as inactive as possible. Okay? We want to do the same thing. If that wasn't the best thing to do, that's not how nature would be programmed. But it is. It's what happens 25.5 million times every day, every species. Hey, thanks for watching. If you're interested in more information about fasting in general, we've got a playlist there. If you're interested in fasting for specific conditions, you can check out that list. If you want to hear what people's experience was in their own words, we've got a group there. And then we've got another one which is all about optimal diet, how to maximize your health.